good evening. Thank you for caring enough about BC and Canada to come out on a rainy night to share your concerns and be part of the solution. Here at the Riding Association level is the most grassroots place in the province of BC that we can let our voice be heard. So much can happen here in our White Rock Riding Association. It's here where we choose our candidate. It's here where we get to vote on policy to take to the policy convention. And it's here that we can vote on who our leader will be for the party. Anyone age 14 and up and $10 can get you that authority. Let's say that word together, authority.
Authority.
I don't like the word power, I like the word authority, because you're representing, you have the authority to vote, and that's what your $10 membership does, to get our voice in our provincial government. So let's talk about why we're here. Each of you are here because you care, and we would love to know what is important to each of you. And before we talk about what's going on and what's been going on this past year, I do want to say a special thank you to each of you who worked so hard to make this year a fun and effective year for us. To our current board, thank you for your faithfulness, coming to our meetings month after month. To Melissa, our Director of Communication, for keeping us organized and connected. To John Bogar, where's our John? Where's John? There you are. Our faithful secretary for faithfully recording the minutes and getting them out to us. Jesse, who is in Poland right now, for being willing to be our treasurer. To Todd Antife for organizing a wonderful fundraising dinner at Kiki's that set the bar for the next one. Thank you. To Michelle Ferguson for doing such a great job on our healthcare committee. And we're hoping to host a healthcare town hall in our riding and expose the dangers of how the NDP socialist government is destroying our healthcare. To Owen McRae, where's Owen? There he is. Hi Owen, for being an excellent VP and also a liaison to our faith community in the White Rock. And congratulations, Owen, on your team that put together the outstanding prayer breakfast a few weeks ago at Peace Portal Church. And we also have tickets for the lovely luncheon coming up at Peace Portal if anyone would like to come on the 26th. And of course, a special thank you to our MLA, Trevor Halford, for a successful year as a BC Conservative MLA and for representing us well in Victoria on the legislative floor and in our community like tonight. I don't think we have any idea of the pressures that an elected member faces. Attacks from the opposition, from the media, and we want to encourage him to continue standing strong for conservative principles in the legislature. So this is being recorded, so let's actually say thank you to Trevor. Trevor, thank you. If you are currently on the board, would you please stand so we can say thank you? We're going to get a photo later, but if you are currently on the board, please look around. These are your friends. We're going to make sure you have each other's numbers. We're going to do fun stuff. Some of them are staying on the board, some are stepping down. There's going to be new people on the board, but let's give a board thank you to our board. Thank you. We'll get that photo later and of our new board, and thank you for put your names forward to be on the board, to be willing to serve. For me, here are some of the biggest concerns I have for our province. I don't know about you, but every time we turn around, there's a new law or motion that the NDP or federal Liberals are sneaking in, hoping that no one will notice. Many of these concerns that I'm going to share overlap with federal and local jurisdictions, so that's why we need to be involved at all levels. Deborah, thank you for being willing to be involved. The main question we have to ask ourselves whenever a new bill is introduced: will this bill make us more free or less free? That's it. That's all you need to ask. In the last 10 years under Trudeau and Carney, and the last many years under the Horgan NDP government in BC, I can't think of one single law that they have passed that makes us more free or more prosperous. Instead, every new law has become tyrannical, and the noose around our necks is getting tighter, or the proverbial frog in the water's getting warmer and warmer, and soon it'll be too late to jump out. Last weekend, my family and I and friends had a dinner, and we watched a movie. We watched George Orwell's 1984 on the big screen, and we are indeed moving closer and closer to a big brother state. The Justice Center for Constitutional Reforms, the JCCF, has said that if these 3 federal laws are allowed to pass, Canada will be a police state by Christmas. How many of you happened to see that video? I will circulate it to you. I'll put some of these videos I refer to in the minutes. BCC 2, Strong Borders Act, is really a surveillance act. Empowers an army of government officials to conduct warrantless searches of our cell phones and computers. Bill C9, Combating Hate. Many more Canadians are being prosecuted for something they've written or said. And I don't know if you've been watching the news, but every day 30 more Brits are being put in jail for something they put on Facebook or something they said. Bill C9 doesn't even define hate. Hate is a matter of the heart. You can't legislate matters of the heart. You can only prosecute actions. But no, this government wants to be big brother and prosecute you for something something you might do or might be thinking. Bill C-63, Online Harms Act. The Canadian Human Rights Commission will have massive new powers to prosecute our speech and writing. Canadians will be punished preemptively for a neighbor who privately accuses someone of doing something or maybe going to do something. Last one, Bill C-8, the Cybersecurity Act, gives the government to kick you off the internet if they don't like what you said or your opinions, with fines up to $50,000 a day or $15 million for companies that don't comply with the minister's orders. If you fight it, you need hundreds of thousands and many years to go through the courts. This is stunning. I don't think the average person has any clue what's going through these courts in our parliament. And it affects us here. In the past few weeks, the horror and lies of the provincial NDP government are being exposed. EB tried to hide his deals with the judges and First Nations, and the judge had assured him that these court cases would not affect homeowners in Richmond. How foolish could he be? And he hid this info from the citizens of Richmond for 7 years. And John, I want to thank you, John Whitman over here, who wants to be on our board. He went all the way to Richmond and witnessed that event. The citizens were stunned. They said, why didn't you tell us? He knew. For over 10 years, we've been trying to warn Canadians about the dangers of voting to bring in UNDRIP ideology to Canada, let alone voting it into a law. UNDRIP, the United Nations Declaration of Indigenous People, without even defining who the Indigenous people were. They could come from anywhere in the world and say they were Indigenous and say, you're on my land. Both BC and Vancouver City signed UNDRIP into law. Why are we letting a foreign unelected body dictate our policies in our beautiful province and city? For many years, our children have been forced to acknowledge that we are on unceded land. So kids, our kids, have been raised thinking that their parents and grandparents are racist and stole the land. I don't know about you, but my family worked very hard to buy our home and land. A land acknowledgement plaque is on every school building in Surrey. Our flags were at half-mast for over a year. These kids got used to being ashamed of our country, ashamed of our schools. And one of the biggest problems is that Pierre Trudeau is still ruling Canada from the grave, as journalist Michael Wagner has said. Because Trudeau refused to allow property rights in the newly repatriated Canadian Constitution, Trudeau knew exactly what he was doing. As a globalist communist, he knew he could never get elected as an NDP, so he ran as a federal liberal, and nobody understood his fancy language or what the heck he was talking about. But we are reaping the results now. In America, they entrenched property rights into their constitution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and everyone just understood that meant property rights and the freedom to have a job, whatever you wanted to do. Just want to share something. Last week, going through my boxes as we're moving, I found a paper I wrote in 1983. Any realtors in the room? This is a paper I wrote for the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board in 1983 because they knew that Trudeau had not allowed property rights into this constitution. So my professor at Trinity Western encouraged me to write a paper for the competition for the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. I'd just like to read a paragraph of it. 1983. This is on a typewriter. Do you guys, anyone ever used a typewriter? It was called This Land Is My Land, That Land Is Your Land. Remember that song? This land is your land, okay? This land is my land, that land is your land. My land, your land. This right to private ownership of property is one of the cornerstones of democracy. And the dismay of Canadians was heard far and wide when the Ottawa government deleted the right to own property from the Charter of Rights of the Patriotic Constitution. Political scientists have in the past agreed that the right to own property is an inherent prerequisite to a free democracy. Recent history points out that no nation, where at least 50% of the adult population owns property, has ever turned to a communist form of government. Life and liberty are secured only as long as the rights of property are securely maintained. And I'd be glad to send this as a PDF to anyone that would like to see it. I'm going to send it back to the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board and thank them for their vision, because they knew. They knew. Last week, we all witnessed the tyranny of the Trudeau-Carney government agency. The CFIA, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, slaughtered 400 healthy ostriches and spent 60 days tormenting a family who owned this farm. They spent over, was it $20 million on overtime, hotels for these police officers that should have been out fighting crime, tormenting this family. The U.S. Secretary of Health even offered to take the birds to the U.S. for research. This family has lost their beloved animals, all for a lie. Whose farm is next? No one is safe from their overreach. I'm not sure of their agenda, but even Health Canada admitted to Attorney Bruce Pardy in questioning when he asked them if the health of Canadians was Health Canada's #1 job, and they admitted it was not. Perhaps they're trying to create the setting for the next emergency to try and lock us down again, another pandemic, but we must be prepared to say no, and that we will not comply with their WHO overlords. That Trudeau and Carney foolishly signed Canada onto the WHO pandemic treaty so that if some bureaucrat overseas decides that there's a pandemic, that Canada must obey their WHO rules, we must say no, that we will not comply. The NDP tyranny over BC healthcare is complete insanity. Thank you to Michelle Ferguson for taking a lead on this, turning healthcare into Big Brother too, in fact. Michelle has a survey that we will post in our minutes of healthcare workers who are planning to leave BC because of the government's wicked policies, in addition to the 7,000 doctors, nurses, and paramedics and staff who were fired under BC NDP's Bonnie Henry for not taking her experimental injection. I want to commend so many in our riding who are standing up against the NDP BC housing proposal to build a safe injection site here on 152nd across from the library and playground and the park. Of course, it's not a good idea to have those suffering from addiction to be living with our seniors and families, and many members in White Rock have told me this. That is why they moved to White Rock, was to get away from the drugs of Vancouver. I have just, before I just want to show you this letter from my friend Ellie, and she actually was sending this to John Rostad, so I will mail this to John. Her granddaughter, her beautiful granddaughter, died from an overdose at a safe injection site in Nanaimo. A safe housing, a BC housing, quote, safe injection site called Safe Supply. They didn't find her body for 3 days, and her shower had been running for 3 days. Rest in peace. Alyssa Joy DeGore, we honor your memory. And she was a Langley girl living in Nanaimo. She needed help. She didn't need free drugs. So if you want to join us, Zishan, Ed Hurd, this is our team. Ed Hurd, James Yu, this is our team. I'm proud of our board that we're out picketing. 2,000 people will be gathering at City Hall to tell the council that we don't want drugs combined with low-income housing. That's Monday night. So as I conclude my term as president of our White Rock Riding Association, I want to thank each of you. I've gotten to know you. I love your emails, I love your encouragement, I love your phone calls. I want to thank you for your support and encouragement this past year. It's been a great board to work with. And I will share a video with you that I made of the 4 principles that I believe our party was founded on. Freedom of religion, freedom to raise our children the way we want, protection for the most vulnerable in our society, and number 4, it is irresponsible of the government to put our children and grandchildren into reckless debt. I encourage you, those that are willing to run for our incoming board, to stay strong. Be courageous. For me, and I know many of you as conservatives in the room, our allegiance is not to a party, but to our principles. So if the party strays from what you believe or what we believe, we have 2 choices. Start a new party or help the party get back on track. I believe if we stay true to standing for family, faith, and freedom and good old-fashioned common sense, we can save our province from the foolishness of socialist, progressive NDP tyranny. Let us speak up for what is right and not be intimidated by loud voices. Stay strong and love your family. God bless you.
These are the 4 pillars of the National Leader Briefing that are important to me when I think about who I'm going to support and vote for in a campaign. First of all, pillar number 1, as parents, we have the right to raise our children the way we want. Pillar number 2, those we elect to service in civil government must respect and defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. Pillar number 3, the laws and policies of civil government must provide for the safety and security of the citizens, especially the vulnerable among us. And pillar number 4, it is inappropriate for civil government to heap debt upon the backs of our children and future generations. So let's just review pillar number 1, parental authority. Parents have the right to raise their children the way that they want. Pillar number 2, right of belief. Those we elect to serve us in civil government must respect and defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. Pillar number 3, protection for the vulnerable. The laws and policies of civil government must provide for the safety and security of the citizens, especially the most vulnerable. Pillar number 4, our children and future generations. It is inappropriate for the civil government to heap debt upon the backs of our children and future generations. So there we have it, the 4 pillars. These are what I will support when I vote for a candidate. Thank you to the National Leader Briefing.